Hi, Dr. Webster, part of my ongoing video blog series about PET in Ontario. This one is about how Ontario politicians have blocked 7 Ontario communities from mobile PET CT access. This is the kind of unit I'm talking about here, and in the US currently 60% of PET CT is performed off a mobile, quite simply because there's essentially no significant infrastructure cost to the hospitals, for example, to supply it. It obviously is not just more convenient, but significantly safer to bring the mobile unit to the patients rather than having them travel on winter roads and so on down south or elsewhere to major centers to get these scans. But also it's actually quite significantly cheaper to the taxpayer. However, the Ontario politicians in general have not wanted us to have access to mobile PET. The most obvious efforts have been by the Liberals because they've been in power all these years, but in 2015, Dr. Hoskins and Sudbury NPP, Glenn Thibault show up, big smiles, $1.6 million check. They'd like you to believe that this was to advance the Sam Bruno PET fund so Sudbury could get a permanent scanner in Sudbury. It had nothing to do with getting the Sam Bruno PET fund and the local PET. This was about blocking mobile PET for these communities. Why did they dump all the money into Sudbury? Well, if Sudbury got a mobile PET CT, the other 6 communities would want it as well. And I assure you that the NDP have been an integral part of blocking PET from every issue all these years. But when we look at mobile PET, for example, Franz Jalanes, the health critic, sat next to me at my Queen's Park news conference on mobile PET CT in February 2017. Later in the year, she would talk about her outrage in the media about how 30% of Sudbury patients and from the north aren't getting PET because they're too sick to travel or unwilling to travel. And in spite of the fact that she knew that every reason offered by the Liberals to block mobile PET CT were 100% false, absolutely nothing from the NDP to act in the best interest of Ontario patients. The reason I'm writing this or doing this video is because today on June 11th, Markus Schwabe from the CBC Morning North program did an interview with Francesco Grosso, and she's a health policy promotes health policy issues and so on. But one of the things that she mentioned in the interview was, the fact that Ontario patients should have had access to mobile years ago. Why I'm bringing this up is because Markus Schwabe and the entire CBC crew have known absolutely every issue related to PET from day one back in 2004, say 2005, when Sam Bruno was actually still alive. They were aware of the efforts of local politicians and the Ombudsman of Ontario to kill Sam Bruno's story. They were aware that Cancer Care Ontario was doing unethical experiments on cancer patients to block PET. They continue to this day. They're aware that I'm being threatened by Cancer Care Ontario if I even speak to physicians and physicians and patients about PET, and yet they will not give you the key information to, so that you would have had the facts to get this information out. In fact, I've said to all the journalists I've dealt with, not just the CBC, but as you'll see, not only everybody locally, but at the national level, your job is not to get PET in Ontario. Your job is to get the facts out there so people can have an informed discussion. And in particular with the CBC people here, you have absolutely not done that, and you know that to be the fact. So I've dealt with Markus Schwabe, Jason Rutherford, although apparently he's leaving CBC now, but Angela Gemmell, Kate Rutherford, to name a few, but everybody that's been involved here in Sudbury and Thunder Bay. And I can assure you, and I'll be providing the documents online to prove that these people have known every detail, but they've been very careful not to ask the right questions to the politicians. And in fact, if the journalists both here, starting with Sam, who tried to do this in Sudbury way back, if they'd have actually let Sam get his story out and not help it be killed by the politicians and the Ombudsman of Ontario and the rest of course, the provincial and national media, we would not be in the situation we are today. So again, my question to the CBC is this: do you see your job as getting the facts out to the public, or are you there to protect Ontario politicians from criticism? This is their contact information. I hope you will write them and challenge them. Not likely to change behavior. I mean, who doesn't realize that what you hear on the news is going to be what they want you to hear based on whoever happens to be controlling that media. But at least we need to make that available. So in the meantime, let's get the information out and get this in the politicians' faces in Ontario, in spite of the media's efforts to kill the stories, because otherwise we're going to remain last place in the world. It has profoundly serious effects on patients, as you will see in my ongoing videos and on my websites. And if we don't get the information out and force the politicians to deal with, we all get sick at some point. It'll affect all of us. So thank you.